So what we're talking about today is slightly more of an advanced topic. Uh, it's dealing with two different kinds of files that we can access in Revit environment. Revit project files can be created as single user files or multi-user files. Now, for the purpose of this course and for training or for any kind of work that you do independently, a single user file or standalone file is the way to go. It's a more simple way to set things up. But if you work in an office with other architects and other professionals, there's a really good chance that most of the files that you're going to work on are actually going to be multi-user files, or what Revit calls workshare enabled files. So the concept of work sharing is just Revit's term for files that can be accessed by multiple users at the same time. And the way that works is we've got a master copy of a project that we call a central file that's usually saved on the network server somewhere. And when users access that central file, they actually are creating what we call a local copy on their local machine, but maintaining a connection back to that central file. So the integrity of that central file is really important. And if you don't open and access the central file correctly, you can cause problems for the team. So that's why I want to make sure that we talked about the right way to access a Workshare enabled project. Even though this will be the only video that I really talk about this here in the courses I make. All right, so with the introduction out the way, let's go ahead and look at how to access a Workshare enabled or team project using Revit. I'm going to use the open link here under models, and first thing I want to do is show you how to identify when a project is Workshare enabled. So if I went to this file here in the folder and select it, and you look down at the bottom of this dialog box, what you will see is there's this work sharing area, and there are these two checkboxes in that area, but both of them are grayed out and unavailable. So if you select the file and the checkboxes are grayed out and unavailable, you have a standalone project, a non-Workshare enabled project. This is a single user project that only one person can access at a time. So if I open it and then you try and access it after me, you'll get a read-only message. That's what this means. Uh, so I can't provide the file for you that I'm actually going to use in this video. I actually had to create a Workshare enabled version of this file. I just duplicated and enabled Workshare in it for the purposes of this video. So for the next few moments, you might just want to sort of watch me and kind of follow along conceptually, maybe take a few notes, and then I'll just want you to kind of get the steps involved in accessing a team project or a Workshare enabled project, and just make sure you kind of understand the concept. That's pretty much what's most important here. Okay, so I've selected the file, and if you look down at the work sharing enabled area again, you can now see that both of those checkboxes are lit up and available, and one of them is checked, the one called new local. Now, most of the time that is correct, and that's the one you want. So by simply selecting the central model, it will do the right thing down here, automatically create a new local for you. In rare occasions, you might choose detach from central. There are times when you would do that. I'm not going to get into the details right now, but if I check the notice that does uncheck create new local, so you can't check both of those at the same time. However, it is possible to uncheck both of them, and that's considered bad. So we don't want to do that, because if I uncheck both, what I'm actually doing is opening the central model directly, and that's not typically considered best practice. So we really don't want to ever work directly in the central model. It will make it difficult for your team members to access the model at the same time, kind of defeating the whole purpose of having a Workshare enabled project in that case. In almost all cases, the right thing to do is create new local. In almost all cases, the right thing to do is create new local, which, as I pointed out, is already checked by default. So you simply browse to the central file, select it, create new local will already be checked, and when you click open, what that actually does is exactly what the checkbox says it will do. It creates a new local copy of that Workshare enabled project. Now I could tell that this is a local copy in a few different places on the interface here at the top of the screen, it has the name of the central file, and then it has the underscore with my username. You see how it's tacked on behind there. And also, if you look over here at the project browser, it's kind of truncated off, but you can kind of start to see, you see the name over there. So if you don't see your username, you want to get out of the project quickly, because you're in the central model, and that means you have some boxes unchecked. So you want to always check the create local. You always make sure you check to make sure that you have create local check. But now you just work as normal. Now there's a lot of strategies and things to talk about with work sharing, but I'm not really going to get into that in this course here. I'll make a dedicated work sharing course later on. If you are a person that's responsible for maintaining the central model and doing maintenance and so forth on central models, I'll actually try and do a video on workshare management. But those will come later in the future. So every so often you'll synchronize dialog to try to save your changes and make them permanent to the central model. So it will list the central model name here, and then when you click OK, it will not only update your local copy, but it will also get any changes from the central and pull those down and make any changes that you made and upload those to the central. That's the word synchronize. At that point, I'll do a Control W. Let's say I'm done working for the day, and close out there. One more thing I want to point out here on the recent file screen, it'll actually indicate Workshare projects with the small icon right here. Now if I hover over it, there's a tooltip that appears that tells me that this is a central model, and it tells me what the path is, but it also tells me where my local copy is. So what's really nice about this feature right here is that if I click on this, it warns me that I'm going to actually it's going to actually create a local copy instead of opening the central model. So it says that this is a central model, but we're going to create a local instead, because that's the right way to do it. And it tells you, if you really want to open the central model, how to do it. You'd have to go back to the open box and uncheck the box, but we already talked about how that's a bad idea, and you don't want to do that. So this is correct, and I'll just click open, and I'll just let that overwrite the existing one, which is what it's asking me. And you'll see that when it comes back here, all right, the username is right there correctly, and I'm in that local copy again instead of working in the central model. So it's very important that you understand the difference between a central model and a local model, and that you're always working on your local. And the easiest way to do that is to just make sure that that box is checked if you're going to go through the open dialog, or if you don't and it's on your recent files, to just accept the default. In either way, you'll get a local copy, and you'll be able to work together successfully with other members of the team within the same model simultaneously.